Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. I thought I'd show you, I'm a bit, well, not just a bit, but I'm very in love with the new Dream Maker range, the new Dream Maker collection. So I thought I'd just show you a little card that I've made using those products. Now, if you want to see what the products look like, and what's included in the Dream Maker bundle, just take a look. If you follow down below this video, you'll see a little live video that I've done earlier today, and it will just go through all the bits and pieces. So this little card, so this is a little simple card that I've made using the Dream Maker stencils and stamps. This little sentiment here is not included. I just wanted to use a happy birthday, and I've just added some liquid pearls is the shiny element on there. Okay, so but we're going to concentrate on this little card today, which is using similar techniques to the previous card that I showed you, but this little card is a little bookmark card. So you can make the card with your little message inside here, and then you've got your little bookmark to slip onto the page that you're reading. So it just fits together like that. So I think it's rather cool, because not only is the person that you're gifting this card to getting a card, but they're also getting a little present as well. So to start with, I'll just leave that. And the cards that you can see up the top here are other cards that have been made using the Dream Maker bundle. I know you can get a bit of a closer look at them in that other video that I was talking about earlier. So first of all, and what I'll do is, once I've put this video on, I'll then add the measurements of the different pieces of card stock. Okay, so all I've used is white card, and then I've used pattern paper for the actual little triangular bookmark. So as I've got it in my hand, we might start with that part first. So all you're doing to make the bookmark is folding your piece of pattern paper in half, and then half again. I'll just put these inks aside. They're the inks that we're going to be using, the colour inks. We're going to be using Periwinkle, Glacier, and then the black ink, Bone Scorer. So just give those a nice little score down so they're nice. Those folds are nice and crisp. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take out one of those triangles. Now, have you seen the Close to My Heart scissors? If you haven't had a try of these scissors, I've had a few favourite scissors in my crafting lifetime, but these are the best so far. They are just beautiful. They come with a little protection over the tips, because the tips are very pointy, very sharp. The thing that I really love about it, because I've got sort of fattish fingers, I love being able to stick two fingers in this part of the scissors. And when I find I can put two fingers there, I'm not getting the pressure that I used to get across my thumb. So if I was doing lots of cutting out, lots of fussy cutting, I'd find I'd get a real divot in that part of my thumb there. So I find I can easily pull my thumb through a bit further, so that pressure can change quite easily. And they just are so smooth. So you're just going to find, now if you have a look at your paper and you're going, oh, I really like that piece of the paper, the pattern paper that you're using. I really like these swooshes, so I'm going to keep, that's the one that I want to keep, that's the one that I want to be the focus, that's the part that will be here. So that means if I want to keep that one, I'm going to cut out this square here. So you're just going to cut that square out. So then you're just folding in and folding in. But to make that triangular piece, and this is where choice comes in. You can either fold this up like that. So you'll have the plain colour coming through, and when you fold it, you'll have that little swooshy border. Or you could fold it this way and have your swooshy piece there with then your little border, your plain border around there. Or if you don't want that plain border, if you don't want a border at all, you can then just fold it that way, like I've done on this card here. Because I really like the swoosh pattern. So I thought I want the swoosh on the front and I also want the swoosh on the back. And then you can just see a little bit of the plain colour here. So you fold your little bookmark in whatever way you like best. I tend to like this way, but that way could also be quite nice as well. I'm still going to go. I try to like it the other way, but I'm still going to go with this way. So then all you need is just a little bit of tape or glue, whatever you like to use. I just put that on the little tip here. Just fold that in. And then you're going to do 4 pieces of tape. Now you might find one way folds better or lines up than the other. So with this one, I've noticed when I fold it in, I'm getting this little bit of leftover here. Now you could just easily trim that down, or if you try it the other way, you can see that actually matches up a lot nicer. So just have a play around. So I'm going to put the tape on all 4 sides here. And I just tear my tape. I find that easier. And then if your fingernails are short or you've got false nails on, the way I find it is you can just use the paper piercer and just having it at a diagonal, so you're not poking through the card, but just poking the paper backing, and you can just get those backing pieces off easily. Then you're just going to fold that all together, just making sure it all lines up. So that's the little bookmark part made, part 1 of the bookmark. We've got a few steps more to go. Okie dokies. So here we've got the other pieces. So these are the 4 pieces that we're going to use. So when you've cut them out and you go, oh God, which one do I do with which? You'll see they're the same width, but one's longer. So the longer piece becomes your little card part. So you're just going to fold that in half. And again, hit it with the bone scorer so that that sits nice and flat. Okay, then your next biggest piece is going to be your card base. So we'll put that aside so we don't accidentally stamp on that. This smallest piece is going to be the front of your card. So that's going to go on there. And then this will be your patterned piece. So that will be going matted with that piece there. Okay. So I'm just going to put those pieces away for the minute. Put that away because we're not going to use that. So we're going to use the new leaf background stamp. I love this, and it comes with lots of lovely little sentiments as well. So that's a really lovely stamp. Now I'm actually going to go a little bit of periwinkle. So I'm just going to swipe the periwinkle on, and I'm going to swipe the glacier ink on. Now the good thing about this stamp, the size of it, it's going to cover the whole of that piece. So we just make sure we've got that lined up pretty well. Hopefully that's it. It's hard to see because I've left the white paper there. It looks, yeah, pretty good. So you can see there's a little bit of glacier on there. There's a little bit of the periwinkle on there. Now this part here is missed a little bit, but it's not important because the little card is going to go on top of that. So it doesn't really matter if you haven't inked it up really properly. Okay, it's just, you're just going to see a small background. Now, I could then, just to finish that piece off, I could blend around it with the blending brush with the periwinkle. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to just show you another little extra bit. I think my periwinkle ink pad just needs a little bit of a re-ink. I've used it so much. It's a real favourite of mine. So I'm going to add just a bit of the periwinkle. And you can see with the blending brush, you can get a really lovely subtle blend around the edge. Now I'm going to use also a little bit of the glacier, as I've got that here. Just put those lids on. So just add a little bit of the glacier. So that's pretty just like that. But if you have a look at my original card, you'll see that I've edged it with the gold metallic pens. This one, so I used the gold on that one. This one I'm going to use the silver on. So you can see it comes with the bronze and the gold pens. I haven't got the third pens. They're hiding somewhere very safely. But they come with the 0.7 pen. So in the set, you get the 0.7, the 4mm, which is like a chisel end. You can see, oh, I haven't even used that silver. I've used the gold. And the 3mm, which is like a bullet point. So that's what I'm going to use to do the edges. So I'm just going to get a ruler, and I'm just going to now give it a shape. I should have got with the lid on, and just going around the edges. Now make sure you lift up when you're going around the edges, because you can drag the ink on. So lift up, or just get a towel and just scrape along the edge of that, so you're not making marks on your card that you don't want there. So just and the final one. Okay, so we've got our silver. Can we get the light on that? Our little silver edge on that. So then that's going to go straight onto your base card. Pop that on. So I'm going to pop that on to that. So I tend to like to work in building things up. So once I finish something, I tend to pop it where it needs to be. Otherwise, I don't know about your craft table, but on my craft table, things tend to disappear, get covered up. I am a bit of a messy worker. I wish I was one of these nice, neat crafters, but I'm a bit of a mess. So just put it on whichever way you think. So just lining it up so that there's a nice even border. Then that piece will go on there. So what I'd like to do, I've done a few little stamps on the inside here, and I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to get my big flower on first. Now, with the acrylic stamps, I'm using my Versamat here, which I'll show you. I've got it foam side up. So you've got the grid pattern on that side, the inches, and then you've got your soft foamy bit on this side. So I find when you're stamping with the acrylic stamps, they stamp much nicer when you're stamping on that soft mat, when you've got that soft mat underneath. So just inking up our stamp, and then I'm just going to place it in the corner. So I've got that little stamp there. Now, but I want to mask it. I want to add the other little stamps in. So actually my lovely customer, Sally, this is your leftover, Sally, if you happen to be watching this. So we're going to, actually I'm going to, because of course I've stamped it on the area that hasn't quite been cut out. So I'm just going to finish cutting this little mask out. So for those that have never done masking before, all I've done is cut that out on a bit of scrap paper and cut it out close to the black line. Then what we do is we put it over the flower that we've just stamped so that we can make this little stamp look as if it's in the background. And then you're just stamping over that mask. So you can see there now, the little flower looks like it's behind the big flower. And then we're just going to do the same in the bottom. So just inking that little stamp up, making sure we've got our mask in the right area. And then we're just going to stamp. So you've got that little bundle of flowers. Then with the silver marker, now I'm going to use the little fine tip one. Just make sure that's, yeah, that's working beautifully. And we can just do a few little flecks around. So just embellishing that stamped flower. We can just put a few little flicks, maybe some little dots. Can colour in the little stamen. We can put a few little dots on the black part there. So just whatever you'd like to do, you know, wherever your imagination takes you. There's no hard and fast rules to any of this, and that's the thing with creativity, isn't it? You can just do what you feel like doing. You could even, if you want to take it a bit further, you could doodle. Just do a bit of doodling. Some little stitches. And it doesn't have to be a straight line. You know, you don't need to do. So there's a little bit of doodling, just to add a little bit of extra interest to the inside of your card. Okay. So now that part is complete. So now we can stick that on. So again, I just use 4 pieces of tape, because you want it to be secure. You could just use 2, but I think go for, make sure it's stuck on there properly. Okay, so just make sure that's on evenly. Okay. Now the next part is we need to create this little piece. Oh no, we're going to finish this. Let's finish this. Let me give that another bone score so that sits down. So we've got our little stencil piece now. So I'm just going to put that aside and we're going to use our lovely stencils. Now I don't want that black ink anywhere near me at the moment, so I'm just going to put that away. I'm going to use this nice big leaf here. You see that? Yep. And we're going to use the periwinkle and the glacier again. And my blending brushes are over here. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to start with the periwinkle. And I'm just going to do the tips. So holding it on the card and the stencil together. So making sure you're holding it and then you're moving the ink from the tip of the leaf towards the center of the leaf. And again, with the blending brush, you can make this as dark or as light as you like. Now we're going to be stamping over the top of this, so you don't want to make it too dark, but you want to make it dark enough so that you can see it. That's it. So I'll take that off so you can see. Okay. Now we're going to add the glacier. So just popping that back, lining it back up again. And then we're going to add the glacier. And so then you're going to drag the glacier, you're going to do in the opposite direction. So you're going to start it from the bottom of the leaf and you're going to take it up. Up into the blue. Now see it, that slipped because I wasn't holding on to a piece of the card. So I think I'm pretty happy with that. How pretty does that look? I do love blue and green together. I think they're my favourite colour combo. Okay, so we've done that. Then we can use some of the text that's in the collection. So I'm going to do that in the glacier. Now, we want this to be pretty light. So I'm just going to stamp that down there and think, that's probably a little bit darker than I want. So I'm going to try, actually no. Okay, so that's first generation and then that's second generation. So that's probably a little bit too light. That I think will be all right. So I'm going to just go with first generation for this card. So I'm going to stamp some up here and then I'm going to stamp some kind of diagonally at the bottom. Okay. Then I'm going to use this other little script stamp, which I really like. It's very pretty. And I'm just going to join that to the text that we've already got. So I'm not going to stamp right over the top of it, but I'm just going to join it up. So you can see I've stamped it here and here and here. Now I'm actually going to do, I'm going to do a bit more stenciling on here. So I'm going to use the other stencils. I'm going to use the circles. And what I'm going to do is kind of match up the circles a bit, blue on the blue, and take it over a little bit. So I'm not going to, you know, be precise in any way. But I just want the blue dots kind of on the blue leaves, but I've also extended the blue dots. Then I'm going to do the same with the green, with the glacier. But I'm going to colour them in the greeny area. But I also want to get so we've got dots on there. Okay. Then I really would like to get the sentiment on because I want to, it's getting a bit busy and I want to make sure that the sentiment stands out nice and clearly. So let's get the sentiment on, and we can keep doing bits and pieces to our little piece of card, but let's get the sentiment on. So if we think about it, the bookmark is going to come down over there. So we kind of need to put our sentiment down in this part here. So whether it's in the middle or off to the side a little bit, I might pop it smack bang in the middle of that lower part, or maybe just a little bit towards the side. And just give that a good press down. And so in the black, so I'd always, in this sort of, on this sort of a card, I'd always do the sentiment in black so that it really pops out. So what else can we do to this? Oh, we can add a little bit of the grid pattern. Now, I really like it in that sort of diamond shape rather than in a square. Have it more as a diamond. And I'm thinking we might just need a little bit more of the green going in here. So just, and then, oh, why not? We need a bit more blue too. We can't have green without the blue, can we? So you can just look and see what parts you think need just a little bit more interest. So that's the grid pattern added on there. And I'm kind of thinking that's enough for stenciling. So now we're going to get our flowers on. So now we've got the sentiment here. So you're thinking, I don't really want the flowers down near the sentiment. I want them to kind of frame that sentiment a little bit. Oh, and we've also got our little splodges. Oh, we've got to add some splodges. So we might just add some blue splodges. I can't stop now, can I? Maybe some glacier splodges as well. What do we reckon? Yeah, just on the... So I don't know if you can see these little splodges here as well. So you can see how beautifully it all blends in together. And this is a lovely way of creating your own papers, your own backgrounds. So now what we're going to do is do the flowers. So again, I'm going to use that masking technique. So this space up here looks a bit empty, so we'll put one here. And I'm thinking one there. Maybe just the very edge there. Okay. But now this masking technique I love, so I just might put a little flower there. One just there. And do we add one more? Oh, for the hell of it. Just there. Okay. I think I've taken it a little bit too far, but anyway, such is life. Such is life in the big city. And I've got this one here that I've stamped previously. So all I've done here is stamp it, and then with the periwinkle, I'll show you on the scrap paper here. Oh, no, yeah. So all I've done is stamping down, and then with one of the splodge stamps, so this is a cool splodge stamp, so rather than colouring it in, we can just ink it up. So I've got the lagoon paper, so I'm going to make this blue just so it's not. And what I'm going to do, you can see here with this one, I've left a couple of the little splodges from the stamp, so I haven't completely covered this. I've left some white area, some contrast. So, and that's what I'm going to do with this one as well. So you can see there. Then this one I've started to cut, so I'm just going to quickly cut around. Now, when you're cutting, people have all sorts of different ways of cutting. I tend to keep my scissors fairly still and move the paper or the card. And I find that, so I'll follow the line rather than cutting what I call backwards, so cutting back that way. I find when I cut this way, I can see the line and I can leave that nice even amount of white cardstock on the edge of my line. I tend to not cut close to the line, because I find if you die cutting with the close to my heart thin cuts, they will always leave you a white edge. So if you're using them in combination with fussy cutting, it's nice for you to have, you know, the matching, not some close cut to the line and some not. I also find if you've got really intricate things that you're cutting out, if you leave yourself a little white line, then those items are much easier to cut out. So we've got our little flower cut there. So we're just going to quickly run around this piece with the silver as well. That's my dotty one, the 3mm one I want. So we'll just go around that. So that it matches. Matches the other piece. There we go. Now we can just add on with the little 7mm one. We can put colour our little stamen in. We can do the same sort of thing that we did on the inside of the card. Now I'm not going to keep going because you've seen that technique before and I don't want to bore you to death. So now this piece is ready to go onto the main card. So I'm just going to show you with the metallic markers too. If you've got pearls at home, you can then, or rhinestones, I think they'd probably work with the rhinestones as well. So you can see here, these little pearls are not gold, they were just the normal white pearls, and I've coloured them with the metallic markers. So that is another great way of using your metallic markers. I'll just take the backing off this. I'll just plonk that down. As well. And then we've got our little circle. Did we have a little circle? We did have a little circle. Here it is right here. So, and our bookmark is there. So I'm just going to go so that because that will get lost a little bit blue on blue. So I'm going to do the circle, edge the circle with the glacier so that it breaks that up a little bit. Let's find the glacier. Of course, it's the last one that I look for, isn't it? Let me just get lots of ink because I want this to be a really dark glacier. So we're gonna, so there's a real contrast there. So we're just going to go around the edge with the glacier. Get a nice border. Then we're just going to put some tape on the back of our little flower, and that can get just centered in the middle there. And then what I tend to do is just put the tape on your fold there, and then you can just place your flower on. So if we pop that on there, like that, we can then put this on. So it's kind of going to be sitting in the middle of the card when it's on. So that's your finished product. So again, you could, you know, to continue on that silver theme, you could do a little bit of your doodling around your bookmark as well to give a little bit more interest. And of course, colour in, put your swishes on, your dots, you know, like whatever you like. So that's the little finished product. I hope you like it. If you've got any questions about anything, about any of the products, please feel free to let me know. Have a wonderful weekend and hope to be in touch soon. See you. Bye. Happy crafting.